Some nice things at the Steam Workshop. This is a visit on the 22nd of August 2023. Always good things to see here. Today was a special visit to deliver some documents. I'm saying goodbye to my large Showman's engine, which is sold and about to be delivered to the new owner. On screen at the moment is not my large Showman's engine, it's another large traction engine. And on the day of my visit, this has been very skillfully assembled by a man called Mark, who works at the Steam Workshop. To be honest, the skill set at the Steam Workshop, and I didn't get paid for saying this, is exceptional. When this is finished, it's going to be quite an unusual looking traction engine. The colour scheme is a bit different to what you normally see. Even partly assembled, this engine's looking good. What impresses me about the Steam Workshop is the quality of work. Later on in this video, I'll show you some of their work on my traction engine. Here's a nice shot of the water gauge glasses, and unlike the ones on my traction engine, these have glass in them, which personally I prefer not to use because the glass gets dirty very quickly. Personally, the wheels for this traction engine are not to my taste. I prefer the more traditional, built-up, riveted spoke type. Here are some freshly painted parts for this traction engine, suspended in the paint shop booth, actually drying. This, of course, is the crankshaft, and as I was leaving the Steam Workshop, Mark was fitting this to the engine. As I drove up to the Steam Workshop, I noticed this thing of beauty. It's a 7 1/4 inch gauge Britannia. The only problem with steam locomotives, big ones especially, but even the smaller ones, is that they are incredibly heavy. I once completed a Stania Black 5 in 7 1/4 inch gauge, and one day a friend of mine came round, and we were trying to lift it up onto a stand. We picked the engine up, and that's not the tender, just the engine, looked at each other and put it back down again. I would like another Black 5, or even this. I find this to be a very desirable engine. But one has to be realistic. My reason for selling the large Showman's engine is it's just too heavy, and I struggle to manage it with my bad back. Engines of this size are more sensible, but not quite as desirable in my opinion. This is a Blackgates Engineering meter made, which is like a sweet pea with 6 wheels. Very easy to handle, very easy to run, and quite easy to lift. It's not that heavy. And if you need to do any work on an engine of this size, you can have it on the bench in front of you. I just missed the run of this engine. They were blowing it down when I arrived. And here I can feel the heat from the smoke box. Simon Hudson and his team are rebuilding a full-size steam locomotive. It's only a small one, but just look at the size of these cylinders. They make my back hurt just looking at them. I do believe that these are almost ready to fit back to the locomotive. As I said a short while ago, my reason for wanting to sell this engine is because of its size and weight. I pulled my back out twice in the time I owned it. Making and fitting the water gauge with its new protector was really difficult, as I had to get my body inside the bunker, and my body is not small. This was the original injector, and I was determined to get it to work. And if you want to see what I did to attempt to get it to work, please watch my series called A Large Model Showman's Engine. It's 88 episodes long. I spent quite a lot of time on this engine, fixing a few faults, making some accessories, tidying up the paintwork, etc., etc., but this injector drove me round the bend. I bought a new injector exactly the same as this one, and that didn't work either. It turned out that a number 8 injector was too big for the size of this boiler and the position of the check valves. Please watch my series A Large Model Showman's Engine for more details. I redid all of the plumbing from the tank. The thing you can see on the pipe here is not the injector, it's a check valve. And the fitting on the top was for the inlet from a weir type pump that I fitted to the engine. But I removed that because a lot of people didn't like it when I featured it in the video. The answer was what I thought it was going to be. Fit a John Holroyd injector. I bought one but never fitted it. But thankfully my friends at the Steam Workshop sorted it out and fitted John's injector as shown here. They also finished off 1 or 2 unfinished jobs. I made a stainless steel decorative cover for the cylinder, but the edge of it was too close to the mounting hole for one of the brass canopy supports. I was trying to think of the best way to fix it, that's why it never got fixed. But with the Steam Workshop's excellent, large, high-quality equipment, they simply clamped it in the machine vise and machined a slot, and you can see here how it works. I had no chance at all of getting a part like this in my small machine vise. The range of machine tools at the Steam Workshop is extremely impressive. This is a new one, it's a CNC machine. And currently it's making injector cones for the really excellent John Holroyd scale injectors. The one now fitted to my Showman's engine is a number 6 injector. Here's a last look at the Showman's engine for me, just to show the niceness of the parts. And I never did get round to fitting a Margaret nameplate at the front. Margaret was my mother's name. Now it's time to have a fly around the Steam Workshop and have a look at all the other bits and pieces in there. There are quite a few miniature steam locomotives, and sometimes, depending on the stock level, it does resemble Barry Scrapyard. This looks like a pair of Great Western Railway Speedy locomotives. This is a Great Western Railway Prairie Tank. And here's another Prairie Tank, quite different to the one you've just seen. Condition and things like paint finish do vary considerably between the engines I'm looking at. I'm not sure what this is, I'm no expert on types of steam locomotives, and there are just so many, it's quite difficult to focus in on any specific one. I know that this one is a Southern Railway tank engine, mainly because the word Southern is on the side of it. And here is half a traction engine. You can really see how much work there is to do on this one. This model locomotive looks suspiciously like a Stanier rebuilt Royal Scot. This is a 3-cylinder locomotive chassis, probably a model of an LNER engine. Here's the other end of it with the trailing wheels, so it's a model of a big locomotive. I worked at the Steam Workshop 1 or 2 days a week, and this was the workbench that I was allocated. This is extreme model engineering. It's nothing like you would do in your home workshop, although this clip looks about as tidy as mine. Here's a very large boiler removed from a large steam locomotive, and the reason it's sat here is the boiler failed, so it needs repairing. Here's a different camera angle of the same boiler. You can see how big it is. Right next to it is quite a pleasant looking saddle tank engine, and these are a good choice if you want a simple engine that you can run on your local Model Engineering Society's track. I really have to conclude this video with a look at my large Showman's engine. It is sat near the door of the Steam Workshop, ready for delivery to its new owner. Time for a quick flyby to have a close look at it using my phone. I thought it would be a good idea to revisit the video that I made when I came to look at this engine and first bought it from Simon. Here it is in its entirety. This clip is not in slow motion. The engine's timing is close to perfection and it runs beautifully and almost silently. By far my favourite type of steam engine is a Showman's engine. And surprisingly, until quite recently, I'd never ever seen the old film called The Iron Maiden. I don't know what it is really, I think the colour scheme just has an effect on my brain chemistry. I love the combination of Crimson Lake and yellow. And I think it's because the colour scheme is the LMS Railway meeting Stephenson's rocket. The engine needs some cosmetic work, this is always the problem with model steam engines. But I'm looking beyond that. The engine is very well made and I'm going to make a series about the renovation of it, although really it doesn't need a lot of renovating, it's all very cosmetic. This is not a very good video, I was too busy looking at the engine and less busy making a video. Some Showman's engines were built as road locomotives. This one is an agricultural locomotive. If you look at the rear wheels you can see the strakes under the tyres. Simon changed the engine to the higher gear and look at the difference. please take the time to visit my Mainsteam Models website. Click on the section of the website that says Video Playlists. And by doing that, you will find it very easy to find other videos that you may like to watch.